Hey guys, we're doing the digestive system of the cat today. Few structures that I want to show you in this part of the video. First thing is first, we are going to look at the masseter. Masseter, that should sound familiar to you guys. Cheek muscle, be right here, under the skin, of course. Also the mandible. Mandible is going to be the lower jaw of the cat in this case. And then also a structure, it's called the parotid gland. The parotid gland is the largest salivary gland. I've struggled with that word right there. So you should know what the function is of it, but where is it located? It's at the base of the pinna of the ear. So here's the pinna of the ear, the flap of the ear, and it's more or less going to be in this area right here. If you guys want to dissect where the parotid gland is, I definitely highly encourage you guys to explore that. It shouldn't take too long to actually find it. All right, other structures. We have the labia of the cat. So labia, of course, means lips. So here's the labia of the cat, where my probe is, not where my hand is holding. So here's the labia. Here's some labia right here too. So again, the lips. We also have the hard palate of the cat. So hard palate is basically the roof of the mouth. Hopefully Dr. Mick is getting that. And then posterior to the hard palate, so deeper within the mouth, is going to be the soft palate. So hard palate, roof of the mouth, soft palate is posterior to the hard palate. We have the buccal cavity. This should be a term that I think you guys were introduced to when we were going over the lamprey. So buccal cavity is essentially the mouth of the cat, the entire mouth of the cat in this case. Then we have the lingual frenulum. Lingual frenulum, it connects the tongue. So here's the tongue. Hopefully you guys all know that. It connects the tongue to the underlying tissue. So right here. So lingual frenulum. And then last but not least, at least in this video, is the esophagus. So let's hop over to our other cat right here. So our other cat, don't want to ruin it too much because we have some nice circulatory structures right here. But this structure right here is actually the trachea. So trachea, hopefully you guys know what that function is, but behind the trachea, or more specifically dorsal to the trachea, is the esophagus. So so dorsal to this, or right behind this, is going to be the trachea, the esophagus. All right. Hello, vertebrate anatomists. We are continuing with the cat digestive system today. First thing I want to show you guys is the cat's liver. You might see this and be like, oh, the cat has 4 livers. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, 4 parts of the liver. 1 liver, but 4 parts of the liver. But in reality, the cat actually has 6 different parts of the liver. There's some hiding under here. So if we see, let's dig in here a little bit. This part right here that I'm lifting up, this is going to be the right lateral anterior liver. And this one right here is going to be the right lateral posterior liver. Right lateral posterior liver right here, and then right lateral anterior liver right here. And if we put the other lobes down, then we have the right medial lobe of the liver, the quadrate lobe of the liver, the left medial lobe of the liver, and then also the left lateral lobe of the liver. So the cat has 6 different parts of the liver, 1 liver in total, but keep in mind there's 2 hiding under the right medial, which is right here. Okay? Because we're talking about the liver, let's find the gallbladder. So the gallbladder in this specimen too, it's going to be green, a lot larger than the sharks, as you can imagine. So here is your gallbladder. And of course, you guys know the question and the comment that I'm going to make is make sure you know what the function is of the gallbladder. All right? We also have the spleen of the cat. So the spleen of the cat is going to be right here. So here is the spleen. It's this darker structure right here. Hopefully I'm not going too fast with our camera woman, Dr. Mick. So there's our spleen. We also have the greater omentum, which is all of this. Here's our greater omentum. As what Dr. Mick would say, it's the protective blanket of the abdominal organs. Okay? So we also have the stomach, because we're talking about digestive system. I think that's what most people think of when they think of digestive system. So here's our stomach right here. Let's get this out of the way. Here's our stomach right here. We have the greater curvature of the stomach, which is the outer rim of the stomach. And then we also have the lesser curvature of the stomach, which is, again, our inner rim. And if you're a Star Wars fan, there's the inner rim of the galaxy and the outer rim of the galaxy. That's kind of how I think about it. We have the body of the stomach, which is a structure that you guys need to know. It's this large caudal section of the stomach. So body of the stomach, large caudal section of the stomach. And then we also have the pyloric region of the stomach, which is going to be around here. The pyloric region of the stomach, it's narrow, and it essentially leads to the pyloric sphincter, which would be around here. The pyloric sphincter, it opens and closes to have access to the intestines. So body of the stomach, pyloric region of the stomach, and then we have the pyloric sphincter, and then that will get into the intestines. Because we're talking about the stomach, and because we mentioned the spleen already, we have the gastrosplenic ligament. It's the only ligament that I think you guys need to know for the class. I say that hesitantly, but the gastrosplenic ligament, it's going to connect the stomach, which is right here, to the spleen, which is right here. So the gastrosplenic ligament is more or less going to be all this area right here, because here's our spleen, here's our stomach that I'm holding with my left hand right here. And just to show it one more time, because I think it's really cool, here is the greater omentum. We have one too, guys. Okay, see you in the next video. Hello, vertebrate anatomists. We are going to wrap up the last video of the digestive system with the cat. So if you recall, we learned where the stomach was, which is all of this. Hopefully you guys know the different parts of the stomach. And hopefully you guys know that after the stomach lies the small intestines. The small intestine is going to be, so stomach, and then here's our small intestines. The small intestine has 3 parts to it. The first part, and you might recall this from the frog digestive system, is the duodenum. So right here, we actually can see the duodenum. So it's hard to see. Stomach. Then after this pyloric sphincter, we're going to get into the small intestine. First part is the duodenum right here. And then the rest of the small intestine is all of this. And the other 2 parts after the duodenum is the jejunum and ileum in that order. So small intestine has 3 parts, the duodenum, here again. And then it goes eventually into the jejunum and then the ileum, which is all in here. But there's no obvious way to tell them apart unless you're looking at the cells that make the tissues. That's small intestine. With the small intestine is the cecum, which is also called the blind pouch. There's a lot of stuff going on right here. So here's the cecum right here. All of this handful of stuff is the small intestine. And the cecum is going to be right here. A blind pouch because it basically ends. You're probably wondering, Dr. Mason, what is the function of the cecum? I want you guys to look the function of the cecum up in a cat and also the function of a cecum in you, and you as in a human, okay? We will go over how different species have different size cecums in lecture, and I think when we go over that, you'll realize the importance of different size cecums depending on the species that we're actually talking about, okay? So after small intestine, we're also going to get into the large intestines. The large intestine, just like the small intestine, is broken up into 3 different parts. We have the ascending colon, which is going to be right here. The ascending colon. Then we're going to get into the transverse colon, which is right, stay still, right here. So transverse colon, and then the transverse colon is going to be attached to the descending colon, which is right here. And then it'll come right out of the rectum, which is boop, in that area right here. And just because we're in the area, here is the urinary bladder, right here. Urinary bladder. Okay, so that was stomach to small intestine to large intestine. There's 3 parts of the small intestine and 3 parts of the large intestine. Okay, so now let's talk about the pancreas. The pancreas is the head of the pancreas specifically is going to be attached to the duodenum. So lifting up this liver right here, just to orient you again, here's our stomach. Here's our duodenum right here. But this lighter part right here, a lot going on right here. This lighter part right here is going to be the pancreas, but specifically the head of the pancreas. Head of the pancreas is attached to the duodenum. Then we have the tail of the pancreas. I'm going to lift some of this up. The tail of the pancreas is this part right here. Tail of the pancreas is attached to the head of the pancreas. Head of the pancreas is attached to the duodenum. Tail of the pancreas does not attach to the duodenum, but it does attach to the head of the pancreas. Okay? Because we're in here as well, we have one of Dr. Mick's favorite things to do is to open all this up. And this is the mesentery. So the mesentery supplies blood to all of this, which is the small intestines. Small intestines, duodenum, jejunum, ileum. Mesentery is all this tissue in here that's supplying the blood, again, to the small intestines. And there's lots of lymph nodes in here as well. Okay? And I think the last structure that we need to go over are the kidneys. We'll learn more about the kidneys in the urogenital system, but here is one kidney of the cat that's surrounded by a lot of this fat right here. But here's one kidney, and then we'll hop on over to the other side to show you the other kidney. Lifting up the liver, which is right here. And then in the urogenital system, we'll actually cut one of the kidneys out of your cat, and actually do a cross-section of it to see the internal structures of that kidney. Okay, guys, don't hate me for bringing it up again. Please read your lab manual. Thank you.